Good good day everyone. I am Haria Terada and for my MMS 144 final project, I will be presenting the database design of a multimedia mobile app called Random Byte. So Random Byte is a mobile app that randomizes recipes and it helps users to discover recipes randomly, listen or read multimedia cooking instructions, and review recipes created within the platform. So the focus of this project is not about the UI application itself, but the database system behind the app. Specifically, this project demonstrates how multimedia modalities such as text, audio, video, and images can be stored, organized, managed efficiently using a multimedia database system. So, in this video presentation, I will be discussing the purpose and features of the system, the data modeling process, the multimedia and metadata design, the entity relationship diagram or ERD, the schemas, and finally the SQL implementation using sample queries in SQLite Online. So, what is the random byte? What is the app? What is the purpose of this app? So this system was designed for three major purposes. The first is to help users discover recipes randomly. So instead of manually searching recipe books, manually searching hundreds of lines, or manually Googling things, users can now simply randomize dishes and explore different food options with just one tap or one click of an app. Easy, right? Second, the system allows users to access and explore multimedia cooking instructions. So recipes are now not just text alone because that's boring and not accessible. So to improve accessibility, this app has audio instructions, video tutorials, and images that will help users to thoroughly cook. It has a thorough guide, and it includes every user, even with disabilities. So you can just now listen while you cook or watch videos if you like watching videos. So this really improves accessibility and user engagement. Then third is this app enables users to review recipes. So now users can provide ratings and written feedback, and this improves community interaction, and it will also assist other users and deciding which ones to try. So how does this app works? First, you just open the app and tap the randomize button. And voila! The database will now grant you a random recipe. And once you got the recipe, you can follow to the content. It has cooking instructions with videos, images, and audio. And you can randomize any recipe you want. It's not just one, not just two. You have so many options to randomize any recipe. And if you like the recipe or you don't like it, you can just leave a review and share it online. And you can discuss it with other users. So, this is basically how it works. So, what are the features of this app? So, first is the recipe randomization. Users can generate random recipes available in the database. The next feature is the recipe instructions. And this is my favorite part because each recipe contains text instructions, audio instructions, and video instructions, and the final image of the final product. So the images is actually not just the final product, it also contains the images of the ingredients, images of the step by step process, images of the equipment that you need. So everything you need is all there in the database and the multimedia cooking instructions. So this app is really convenient. And lastly, it also has the ability for users to leave reviews and ratings. So users can submit and see if they like the recipes or not. So these features demonstrate how multimedia information and relational data can work together in the database. So next is the multimedia types and metadata. So before designing the database, it's actually important to identify the multimedia types that you will be using. So the first multimedia type is, of course, the text data. This includes the recipe descriptions, cooking instructions. Next is the audio data. It contains the audio instructions that users can listen to while cooking, so it's like a podcast. The third is the video data. This includes the step by step cooking tutorials that will help you visualize the entire process. And last but not the least is the image data. This contains the image of the final dish, image of the equipment, just as I said before. And because this is a multimedia database system, the metadata is also necessary. So the metadata, what is it? Meta. So it just refers to the data of the data. So for the text data, the metadata would be the word count or the language that was used. For the audio, the metadata is the format, the audio coded, the bitrate, like the hertz, etc. For the video, it's the resolution, for what are the frames per second, the size, the format, the duration, and for the image, the resolution, format like ISO, shutter speed, focal length, etc. So for the media modeling, I use a linked multimedia database approach and thus design multimedia files or multimedia modalities such as audio, text, and images are stored externally in the file system or the cloud storage instead of directly in the database. Um, so the database only stores the metadata and the file paths. And this will I did this because this will improve the efficiency, it reduces the database size, and just it just allows users to retrieve data more efficiently and quickly. So for the data modeling, I use the entities. These are the entities that I use. So for the first identity, sorry, for the first entity is the user entity. The users table, it contains the user ID, username, password, email address, etc. It's about the users of the app. Second is the recipes. For the recipe entity, it has the recipe ID, recipe name, description, text instructions, audio instructions, video instructions, etc. Third entity is ingredients. So it contains the information about the ID, ingredient ID, and the name. The fourth entity is the reviews. It stores the user's reviews for the recipes, the review ID, user ID, recipe ID, rating, the review text, and the review date. And next entity is the randomization history. So this entity actually tracks the randomization activities. It stores the randomization ID, the user ID, recipe ID, and the date. So after identifying the entities, you can now go next to the ERD or the entity relationship design. So these are the relationships between the entities. The first relationship is the users and the reviews. So a single user can create many reviews, right? And while recipe can also receive many reviews from different users. So because of this, the review acts as a relationship entity connecting users and recipes. So the second relationship is between the users and recipes through the randomization history. Because a user can randomize multiple recipes and a recipe can also be randomized by different users. And the third relationship is the between the recipes and the ingredients. The recipe contains multiple ingredients, while an ingredient can appear in multiple recipes. So this creates a many-to-many relationship, which is resolved using the recipe ingredients junction table. So this ERD represents the structure of the database, as well as the foreign keys, the primary keys. You can see everything there. So after this ARD is the schema. So the main tables are the users, recipes, ingredients, randomizations, reviews, and the recipe ingredients. Each table has a primary key unique that is that is used to uniquely identify records. The foreign keys were also implemented to maintain the integrity between the tables. And for example, the reviews tables contain the user ID and the recipe ID as foreign keys to connect the reviews with both users and receipts, sorry, and the recipes. So for the recipe ingredients table, it also connects the recipe ID and the ingredient ID as foreign keys to connect the recipes and ingredients. So the next part is the SQLite online query demonstration. I first created the tables using the create table statements. And then after creating the tables, I inserted the sample data, including users, recipes, ingredients, reviews, and randomization records. I use Filipino dishes. And now I will be demonstrating the 5 sample SQL queries. So our first query, we just use the most basic SQL command. Select star from recipe. The asterisk or the star symbol simply means show me everything. So this query is telling me is telling the database to go to the recipe table and show me all the rows and columns inside it. As you can see in the results, it returns all 5 recipes we have in the app: adobo chicken, sinigang na baboy, pancit canton, leche plan, and tinolang manok. You can also see the file paths for the audio, video, and the image of each recipe, which are stored as text in the database because we don't have the actual media files. They are kept externally in the file system. So for our second theory, it reviews all the review. It retrieves all the reviews for the specific recipe. So we are using select star from review again, but this time we added a where clause to filter the results. The where clause lurks at a condition. It says only show me the rows where the recipe ID is equal to 2. So recipe number 2 is in our database. It's sinigang na baboy. Looking at the results, we can see the 2 reviews for that recipe. One is from user number 5 who gave it a 5-star rating, and the other one is from user number 3 who also gave it a 5-star rating. So wow, this recipe must be so good. So for our third query, it's quite similar. We are still selecting for the review table with a where clause, but this time we are filtering it with the rating column instead of the rating ID. So the where rating 5 means only show me reviews where only the user gave a 5-star rating. So these are the best reviewed in the database. So the results show us the reviews of 5-star reviews. We can see the review text, the date, the users, and the recipe each review belongs to. So this kind of query is useful in the app for features when showing the users only the top rated feedback and or the ranking or the which recipes are most loved by the community. So the fourth query demonstrates how we can search our multimedia data using conditions at the same time. So for this fourth query, we use the AND operator to combine 2 conditions where to the where clause. So the first condition checks that the audio format is MP3. The second condition checks that the file format is greater than 1,500 kilobytes. So both conditions must be true for the recipe to appear in the results. So this is relevant to the database because random bytes we use multimedia data. So if we want to see which files need to get compressed, the admin could just search for it. And for our last and final query, it retrieves the randomization history of a specific user. So we select from the randomization table and use the where user ID equals 1 to filter for those user number 1. So every time this user taps the randomizes button, a new entry is recorded in the randomization table and it's saved when the user press it. So when the recipe is selected and the exact date and time it happened. So the connector results this user randomized 3 recipes on different dates. So this is what the randomization feature is for. So to summarize, the Random Byte is a multimedia app that allows users to generate random recipes, follow through the guides, and reviews the recipes that were made in the platform. And that is all. Thank you for listening.